Studio. It's a hot one out there, folks. Drink plenty of liquid water, preferably, and stay cool as you can. Joining us now, Don Redman, spokesman for AAA Mississippi. Hey, Don.
Hey, hi, how are you?
Doing great. So give us an update. Gas prices have been trending upward now for a while, and, of course, the price of oil by the barrel up again over $80. Oil is always one of the interesting commodities to track because I guess that's why we have buyers and sellers. Half the people say it's going higher. Half the people say it's coming down. And so I don't know. What are you hearing? What do you think? How's this affecting summer travel?
Yeah, certainly we have all seen the prices going up this summer. I mean, just when we thought it was safe to go back to the beach, here are the prices climbing back up again. In fact, we're up about 37 cents in Mississippi from where we were a month ago. So it's definitely an upward trend. As you mentioned, it has almost everything to do with the price of crude, which in June was selling for $67 a barrel. Now today it's $81 a barrel. And unfortunately, it could potentially go up more as, or particularly Saudi Arabia announced they're going to continue cutting back in production. So there's reports that there may be a downward push on the inventories of crude oil. In other words, we're seeing a decrease in inventory. So if you're, it's very possible as suddenly as consumers, we're going to be in a situation where we have decreased production of gasoline, decreased production of oil, and all of a sudden we could see those prices really start climbing.
Yeah. And, of course, a big factor in the price of oil seems to be the consumption, the demand from China. Oil, of course, a global commodity. And still unclear as to whether or not China is back to pre-pandemic demand levels, whether or not they're going to get there in any period of time. I've seen some recent reports that their GDP is actually suffering, that the economy in China, even though most are back to work, they're not as shut down as they were with the very COVID precautions, but it seems like they're still not up to it. If that were to happen, I think we'd see oil go up to $100.
Yeah, I mean, it's very possible, depending on how the economy, not only in the United States, but as you mentioned, global economy does, as to what direction the oil is going to be in. And as you mentioned, the price of crude is determined by people's confidence in the economy. When prices are going down, they're called investors. When prices are going up, they're called speculators. It's the same people, but they're trying to guess what the economy is going to do. And when we talk about China's economy slowing down, it's relative to their growth versus ours. So, like, for example, our GDP is at 2.4%. A downward growth for China is over 6%. I mean, they're typically used to 10%, and so when their growth is at 6%, we go, "Oh my gosh, their economy's faltering." But that's still some significant growth compared to what we're seeing in the U.S.
Yeah. Well, so what about the narrative of the conflict in Ukraine, the war between Ukraine and Russia? Is that still playing a part in supply?
Oh, sure. It is largely because Europe has halted its purchases of petroleum from Russia. So they're getting from the U.S. and elsewhere, and probably India, which is getting it from Russia, and but it's a backdoor deal on that. But it's definitely having an impact, and it's also, though, kept the price of crude where the president has felt it's too expensive to try to replenish the strategic supply, and that's a big concern. We're seeing again a drop in inventories of crude. The president's recently announced, "Hey, we're not going to replenish that strategic petroleum right now reserve." Meanwhile, China is absolutely filling up their strategic petroleum reserve. So these are really uncharted times right now, and what that could spell in the near future is unknown, of course.
Yeah. So what about the summer travel? What's the volume been like?
Well, we had a very robust summer travel up through about 4th of July. And almost coinciding with the prices going up, we saw travelers start curtailing some. Some of it is just the fact that it's been so hot, people haven't been traveling. And I know it sounds
Yeah.
ridiculous, but it does have an impact on travel. So these fuel prices are even the increases that we've seen come at a time we've actually seen a decrease in demand, and
Hmm.
that's typical for that time as we hit to the fall, seeing a decrease. But to have prices going in the opposite direction, that's usually that's unusual until say October or November when refineries make that shift from a summer grade gasoline to a winter grade gasoline.
Yeah. Yeah, just it seems to me like I guess just talking to my contemporaries that they have got really after it around the Memorial Day period and then sort of pulled back after then. Is that, and at that point the price of fuel was a good bit lower than it is today. I mean the
Oh yeah, I
increases
mean
all occurred in
it
the
was
last
under.
month.
Yeah, absolutely. In the early part of the summer and all that, it was under $3 a gallon in Mississippi. So yeah, it was really good times until just recently, and that we've seen those prices going up. But school's going to be starting in the next week or so in certain areas
Yep.
of the state and onward. That's typically when you start seeing demand decrease, and so hopefully, and some of the refineries too had cut back because of the heat. Believe it or not, had an impact on the refining process. So
Hmm.
typically in July, you would see refineries at 98% capacity. They were more like at 92% capacity, but that's starting to build back up. But you had swaths of the country that were experiencing, with their refineries, experiencing brownouts and blackouts, all that related to the heat. So there's a lot of factors right now that was contributing to higher prices.
Yeah, my Don, my family have enjoyed AAA membership for many years and have found it valuable and useful. How's it going? What's the membership like these days?
Yeah, it's really good. People see the value in our membership, and that has really helped. Even in these tough times, they realize that just that price of that membership uh, usually covers the cost of one tow. But when we look at, especially during the summer, we have dead batteries, flat tires, lockouts, some of our top three calls for services. And people see the value in that. Not only in that, but your membership, you can use your membership at certain hotels and restaurants, get some saving discounts there as well. So it's not just the roadside assistance. So that's what we hang our hat on, but
Yeah.
also home and auto insurance and other discounts as well.
Yeah, I had a battery incident. I traveled to Gulf Shores on a golf trip and showed up late because I had a battery problem, but was able to use my AAA membership, and they had somebody come out and had to replace the whole battery, as a matter of fact. But I don't
Yeah.
know what I'd have done if I didn't have just a convenient number to call to make that happen with your partners, of course, in the area that
Right.
they came out and took care of it. So is there any legislation Don, that AAA is advocating for, you'd like to see become law at either the state or the federal level?
Well, a couple of things that we want to look at and trying to find some lawmakers that will support us is kind of we need to start retooling and tightening up the what we call the graduated driver's licensing program. That's for the young drivers. Mississippi ranks number one in the nation in terms of teen fatalities caused by teen
Wow.
drivers. So this is
Wow.
really something just trying to get more time, more experience behind the wheel, more before they get their full license. And I think that's something we really need to address. And also, we also need to consider looking at legislation that encourages people to put that phone down when they're behind the wheel. Distracted driving is an extremely uh, potent. You are impaired when you are on your phone, and as we know, it's not just talking on your phone. People are doing so much crazy things like FaceTiming, watching videos, filming videos, all kind of foolishness. And so we're looking at maybe find some sponsors that will curtail drivers' use of that phone while they're driving.
Hmm. Interesting. Well, I know lots of states have enacted legislation to that effect. We have the colonel or the captain from the Mississippi Highway Patrol on the program a lot. I'm always astonished when the Captain Turnipseed tells us about the number of citations issued for people that don't have their seatbelt on. I mean, it's like hundreds on a weekend. It's just kind of shocking. How do we rank relative to the rest of the country in that statistic? Do we have more?
I'm not quite sure, but certainly, especially, we don't have any requirements on passengers in the back of a pickup truck
Yeah.
or anything like that. I mean, so I'm not sure where our ranking is, but I assure you, it's a big issue, and I think that's something that Mississippians need to address and face the fact that, yeah, a belt is not a guarantee you survive a crash, but it increases your likelihood of survival by 50%. And then we don't want to talk about the children. They shouldn't have an option. They should absolutely be buckled in. But that's an issue we hope it comes with education, but as well as enforcement.
Don, appreciate you joining us today and giving us a report from AAA. Don Redman, the spokesman for AAA Mississippi. Thanks a lot, Don.
Thank you. Enjoyed it.
We're coming right back with more here in the Element Well studio. Half an hour.